What's up guys, Delta here. Thanks to you guys getting me to 130 subs, I was able to get my funny bucks back. Pretty baller. Never seen so many zeros before in my life, so I thought I'd treat myself. Bought a game here, brand new game, pretty underground, not sure if you ever heard of it. It's called Legend of Link, Zelda's Wild Ride, pretty crazy. As you can see here, I'm just gaming. I guess this is sort of like a mini review. I give the gameplay a 0 out of 10, it's pretty good. Oh wait, watch me clap this skeleton real fast. Ooh, easy clap. Had to put on the Air Jordans to get across this gap. Big shout out to Michael Jordan sponsoring this video. Yeah, I think this game's music is a 9 out of 10. It needs more yeet on the soundtrack. I don't know who this Koji Kondo guy is, but maybe if there was some Yeezy on this, it would really make those Ocarina tracks slap. Not quite sure what I'm supposed to do in this room. My grandma told me this was one of those puzzle things. Pretty uncool. Guess I'll just play some basketball. Oh wow, bro, I'm like Einstein or something. Yeah, final score, this game's pretty ass. I give it a 10 out of 10. Cool emergent gameplay on top of a killer storyline. You just can't beat it, to be honest. But yeah, now let's drop the facade. I know what you're here for. I was AFK last week, so I wasn't able to get your fix out, but no worries. I got you, baby girl. My name is Delta, and this is Hidden Gems. Oof, that was an intro. Rising Saga Origins is something else. I was actually quite surprised by the anime title screen. I'm a pretty big fan of anime, and anime indie games normally don't come out well because making your game anime is pretty expensive. This ain't cheap. So I went in with really high hopes and came out with pretty high hopes. First things first, I really like the menu. The text font is a bit too small, but I'm blind, so take that with a grain of salt. The intro is pretty well made, and it's obvious that this is a very ambitious project. The game gives you choices that change the world around you. Devs, please be careful about this. It's not easy to make choose your own adventure games. It's very easy to fall into pitfalls where the choices don't really mean anything, or the choices that matter are so obviously telegraphed that it makes the narrative feel black and white. I don't hate games that handle choices this way, but a way you can make your game stand out in terms of decision making is by having out of cutscene decisions matter. A good example of this is Metal Gear Solid 5, where you have a sleep dart gun which causes your target to fall asleep instantly if you shoot them in the head with it. If you get off consistent sleep dart headshots, the enemies will reinforce their arming with helmets, so now you have to shoot them twice in the head to get that instant sleep off, making the game adapt to your strategies and literally change around you. A way you can do this in RPG Maker is maybe have some variables track something that seems trivial, like how many times the player character uses healing potion. Then if they reach a certain threshold and they make evil decisions, maybe have someone who is close to them poison them through potions, giving them a bad end or weakening them in some way. This will not only affect your world, but affects the player as well, and then they'll question every move they make on top of the decisions they have to make in dialogue. Just something to think about. I really enjoyed this game's art. They took the assets and made something fresh looking with it. Bravo, bravo. The only downside is that some characters are completely original in terms of their artwork, and the art styles don't blend perfectly. The CG art is nice for the most part though. I also ran into some poorly formatted sprites. These are pretty easy fixes, but these don't really make a great first impression. Big ups to the devs for having a non-binary choice in the character creation, and the character creation itself is pretty extensive. This is amazing because it gives the game replay value, which is something I feel a lot of RPG Maker games lack. Oof, there is voice acting in this game. Look, I want more RPG Maker games to incorporate voice acting into their projects, but it's not an easy task. The voice acting here is poorly mixed, and I can't really hear it at all over the J-Rock track that also has vocals in it. The voice performances are also super flat, and I feel like the actors and actresses may have needed more direction. Some characters sounded better than others in terms of mic quality, and some of the dialogue felt weird too, as if the game was expecting me to choose certain options that I avoided. This is what I was talking about when I said making these type of games is hard. An example of the weird dialogue is that there's a character named Sarani, and she was explaining some things to me about why she trained my character to become strong. I chose the options that made my character seem very understanding and appreciative, but Sarani still had a line where she felt the need to apologize. Right after this, Sarani does something that might have been the reason why she apologized initially, but it still felt awkward here, and maybe it would have been better included later, if not at all. I know I'm being very negative here, but bear with me, okay? The encounter rate is too damn high. This is an example of why people tend to hate random encounters. I personally don't hate them, but I can understand why people do. I think this game needs its encounter rate cut in half, but that's just my opinion. Rising Saga Origins was a fun time, all things considered, but it might just be a little too ambitious. I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. I think there's something great here. It just needs a lot of polishing. I recommend cleaning up the voice acting or removing it entirely, fixing the encounter rate, and changing the art style so it's consistent across the board. I currently give it a 6 out of 10 on the hype scale, but please play it yourself, and don't forget to support the developer's hard work. Uh-oh. Voice acting again. Yeah! Just one thing. The intro voice actor is way too close to their mic. Just take a step back. Come on, just one step. Legends of Crystal is a pretty weird game, and I don't really know how I feel about it. After watching the intro cinematic, the intro just kind of started over, which confused me. I was able to get to the main menu after pressing a button on my controller and finally start the game. But when I did that, I realized, oh, this game has a rough English translation. I powered through it, however, because while the translation was rough, I was still able to piece together what the characters were trying to say. So, you know, it's whatever, I guess. This game also has a nice menu, and the ability to skip cutscenes is something that I think is very underrated, especially in RPG Maker games. I think this game has an equip load stat similar to games like Skyrim and Dark Souls. I picked up a potion and suddenly my character just started moving very slowly. I couldn't find the stat in the menu anywhere, and I noticed when I used the potion I was back to normal. I'm pretty sure this is a bug, I don't know. The game's writing is not only hard to understand, but doesn't make much sense either. The protagonist felt a bit too eager to throw away the duties he had to progress the story, even though he had lines right before expressing that he was quite proud of his duties. The combat is pretty standard, but it had a really cool moment that made me super hyped for the gameplay, but the more I played, I realized I wasn't really having a good time. Also, it turns out that that bug that caused me to slow down after picking up something applied to anything, so now it made me not want to explore anything, which kind of sucks for an RPG. I give Legends of Crystal a wait for a patch then play it out of 10, just because I firmly believe a decent game is here, just underneath all of these little bugs and issues. Can one of you guys help me? The Steam page says this game is in English, but it isn't. Maybe I'm reading it wrong or I'm missing something. I don't know. I tried to just brute force it because I really wanted to play this game. It looks absolutely beautiful and reminds me of the East series. I think that's how you pronounce that. No, but nope, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what to do because the game's demo is in Korean and I barely speak English. Maybe if I would have purchased the game, it would have been in English because I found YouTube videos of the game in English, but I don't know. If that's the case, that kind of sucks. I can't really think of a good reason not to have your English translation in the demo, but you know, I don't know. Putting a pin in this one, maybe I'll actually cover it if it just turns out I was stupid and couldn't find the English setting, but for now, it's just gonna have to wait. It isn't that expensive, but I mean, I would like to play the demo before I spend any money on it. I'm not made of funny bucks, alright? So instead, let's talk about my gem of the week. I think it's pronounced Fuchian Chronicles. Pretty sure it's not fucking. Fuchian? I think all three of the games I covered this week used the same menu, but whatever, I liked it all the other times and I still like it here. Actually had quite a bit of fun with this one. It reminded me a lot of Mass Effect. I'm surprised I like this one as much as I did, since it's obviously marketed towards a sci-fi crowd and I've always preferred fantasy settings. I think the way it portrays its sci-fi characteristics in an RPG setting is super interesting, and honestly, I really enjoyed how fresh it felt. The game's intro segments had pretty in-depth tutorials that established the setting in a snappy way. The ship battle was very cool, and I like all the mechanics present both in combat and the overworld. The art isn't bad at all, and while I wish the soundtrack was a little bit more boomy, the game had some good tunes too. This game's a gem. I don't want to spoil too much here because I really think you should play it yourself. The game is currently in early access, and you can buy it for cheap on Steam. Fuchian Chronicles gets an 8 out of 10 on the hype scale, and I look forward to covering it in its entirety when the full game releases. That being said, thank you for making it another week. I hope everyone is doing well out there. I missed you. Sorry about missing last week. I was hard at work putting out an update for my Zelda fan game, Whims of Fate. You should really check it out if you haven't already. I put a lot of work into it. It's still pretty far from completion, but hey, you guys listen to my thoughts on games. I would love to hear your thoughts about mine. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Don't make me ask again. If you really liked it, subscribe, leave a comment. You know, it really helps the channel, and I appreciate you guys getting me to 130 subs. The growth has been exponential, and I owe it all to you guys who support these videos. Until next week, I hope you stay safe. Keep up the good work, devs. You're doing great. And don't forget, my name is Delta, and this was Hidden Gems.